All right, so let me just, hold on, let me steal the screen here. Okay, so hey, what's up, everybody? It's me, Sarah G, with the smack, and I am back. And welcome to the Transparent Advisor July. What is it? It's July. There we go. Okay, see, 4 kids. Look at what it does to you. See what it does? Your mind turns to mush. Okay, everybody. So thank you for being here. And I'm not gonna talk too much. Just a few very quick announcements. So the first thing is, my effort is to be inclusive, and I can only be as inclusive as you let me know that I need to be. So I would like everybody to know that if you require closed captioning, here are the instructions right here. There's a bar at the bottom of the screen that you can just click a button, and you can have the live transcript enabled so that the captions will come up. So if there are any hearing difficulties, that should be accommodative. I would love to be accommodative to any other needs that people have as well. It's not limited to just the hearing impaired, so let me know. Just a few very quick announcements. This is a recorded meeting. If you cannot be on a recorded line, then time to say adios and hasta luego, and please watch the replay. And I'm sorry, because that would really stink if you can't be on a recorded line, but we love you anyways. Tomorrow is our pod day. That's when we do group discussions of our postings in order to help to hike up the performance in the algorithm. And if you want to be a part of it, there's a chat group that you can let me know if you want to join. If you're already in the chat group, then please participate, post tomorrow at 1 p.m. and then stay to like and comment on other people's postings at that time. The regulatory update, I don't think Canute is here, but we did meet with the regulators in Washington State, and whoo, what a meeting it was. It was a meeting and a half, folks, let me tell you. Really interesting to learn the perspectives of these folks, but they seem, I mean, is anybody here? Hold on, is Paul here? We could talk a little bit more about that, but I'll just summarize it by saying that it was a good approach that we took, because we weren't kind of finger wagging. We just were saying that there is really a rising demand for flat fee services in Washington State, and when it comes to financial advice, and we encouraged them, we provided them with some ideas about how to be more flexible and accommodating towards flat fee advisors in Washington State. So there was a few pretty good exchanges there. We definitely gave them some enlightenment, and it was good to hear their perspective as well. And I'm hoping that these talks will be ongoing now that we've begun the dialogue, because the tone was very, I would say it was the spirit of advocacy was the tone that we embraced in this meeting with Washington State. So, you know, we're hoping to inspire them with the spirit of innovation as well. And I know that in order to do that, we just have to communicate clearly with them, and in a way that's looking to nurture and educate rather than command or shame or be authoritarian. You know, with the regulators doesn't really work, right? So that's the great update with that. And we're just moving the ball on with that. The next meetup is August 9th at 1 p.m. Eastern, and the topic is annuity transparency. Does that sound like a paradox? It does, right? So I know that there's a great speaker. We're going to have Chris Toby. He's going to be speaking as a guest on the August 9th webinar. So please go ahead and sign up. I'm going to put the link in the chat in a minute. But first, I want to talk with you about Immersion 2024. So Immersion 2024, this is designed as the anti-conference. I designed it not to be an experience where people would come and, like, you know, slew down some chicken wings and Diet Coke and like pose for some pictures to put on social media. I did not want that. I'm designing this to be for the people, by the people kind of a thing, that the speakers are coming, they're not paid, there's no sponsors. And I like that about this, because it's making it very pure. So we've got a great agenda, and I believe that here it is right here. You can find out all about Immersion 2024, but it's going to be focused on flat fee, hourly, and advice only models, how to run a practice this way, how to sell and market, what the challenges are, and it's going to be immersive. That's why I named it Immersion, because the focus is going to be on dialogue and sharing of insights from the practitioners. We're not having thought leaders speak. So 15 spots left. Go ahead and check out the Eventbrite link in the link that I sent you, and please sign up, because above all, it would be fun to meet all of you in person if you're down for that, but I don't know. So let's get started. Before I introduce our speaker today, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to throw the link to the next meetup on August 9th on annuity transparency. Boom, there you go. It is in the chat box, y'all. Click that link and sign up for the August 9th, and let's party woo on August 9th. Now, gonna throw it over to Holly here. Replace spotlight, Holly. There you are. Here's Holly Donaldson. Holly D is an advice-only planner. My senorita definitely knows what is going on in terms of financial planning, and she's a practitioner here. I always love to hear it right from the people who are successful rather than the people like me who aren't even in the business. So Holly, take it away, girlfriend.
Thank you, Sarah. Hello, transparent advisors. It's so nice to be here. Sarah asked me to talk, I think, because I've been doing this so long that I might have a few things to share that are helpful. And Sarah, am I able to share my screen if I want to in a minute?
Yeah, you sure betcha.
I should be able to. Okay, good. So I thought I would just give a little bit of background, and then I listed my challenges in running a practice like this and the lessons that I have learned. Oh, thank you, Skip. You're the best. I listed 5 challenges and lessons that I've learned. Those aren't all the challenges, but they're the common challenges that we all talk about and that I get asked about when people learn how I do what I do, which is not dissimilar from the way some of you are doing it. But my background was I started in banking, and the first 10 years of my career I spent in corporate banking, and then I made a switch, this would be the mid-90s, into an area called private banking, where I was the relationship manager for mainly ultra high net worth families. The book title, Bill, is The Mindful Money Mentality: How to Find Balance in Your Financial Future. Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry. Hold on. I just have to intercede here. I apologize, folks. Sorry, Holly. Holly wrote a book, and I'm putting the link in here just in case anyone wants to check it out. I'm not like pushing this book at all, but it's just, it was mentioned. She is an author. So if any of y'all are looking for inspiration or whatever, that's her book. Sorry, Holly.
Thank you. All right, thanks. Thanks for the shout out for the book. I became a private banker, and it wasn't long into that journey that I began to think I enjoyed the part where I was helping people find help in all these different areas: legal help, tax help, investment help, trustee help, structuring family limited partnerships and all that complicated stuff that the ultra high net worth people do. And when I first went into that area of the bank, the message from up above was, if you do the right thing for the client, the business will follow. So just do the right thing for the client. And that felt great. But then, of course, with banks, there was a merger, and it became how many insurance policies did you sell last week? So I had this thought about, maybe I could just do this general, for lack of a better term, quarterbacking thing, and people would just pay me to do that, and I would call it personal CFO. And all I would do is I would do a financial plan for people and help them figure out what they needed. Well, that service I started doing in 2006. And so now I guess we would call it the subscription model. Back then it was called the retainer model, which is not a good word because it sounds like you use up the money, but it was just a fixed fee annual thing. And I priced it fairly high. So that was 2006. 2008, 2009, I joined NAPFA in 2007, I think. So the crash hit in 2008, 2009, my phone began ringing off the hook when that happened. And I have to,
just because of NAPFA, because of your NAPFA directory listing, et cetera? What were you doing?
As everybody, well, people were panicking, and no matter who they had as an advisor, for some people, they think I need to do something different than what I'm doing because this isn't working, as they're watching their portfolios fall by 50%. So yes, being on NAPFA helped me. But another big thing that really helped me was I'm located in the Tampa Bay area. I grew up here. I made a lot of connections in banking, and I did a short stint at the trust company at Raymond James when I left banking because I was too chicken to do this. And when I left Raymond James, I was amazed, and hopefully this is a lesson for those of you that are thinking about it, how many people said, oh, good, you can work with me now. And they'd never asked me what kind of minimums there were at Raymond James. It wasn't that. It was just they wanted to work with me, but not attached to a larger institution. And I underestimated how many people like that were in my circle and in the circle just outside that circle. And that felt great, of course. So that combined with being on the NAPFA directory during that period of time was really helped me get to a point in my practice where I was busy making a living. I'm trying not to talk too much. And then it might be a
little helpful though if you get into like more of the 5 things, because I do want to make this interactive so people can have questions. Before we get started, y'all, what questions do y'all have for Holly? She's an advice-only planner. She's been at it over a decade. Yep. Can you please put the questions in the chat if you have any, or just speak them now before she gets started about her 5 challenges, things she would do differently?
Yeah, I can go straight to that. I'm just going to talk about the big pivot that I made in 2013. Okay. And then I'll go to the challenges.
Okay.
How to keep constant revenue stream. Yep. Okay. That's number 1. So, in 2013, I published the book and I got divorced almost simultaneously. And I got married when I was 22. So I'd never lived on my own. And I had this irrational fear of being poor. And I decided that when the phone rang, whatever that person asked for financial planning, that's what I was going to help them do, other than manage money. I never put out there that I was good. I say in my book, the first stock I bought is Enron. You don't want me managing your money. So what people wanted was, a lot of people, a one-time review of what they had. So I said, sure, show up at the office, bring your stuff, I'll look at it, $450. And I started doing that. It's evolved since then, and I can talk about that, but that was an enormous pivot from doing this ongoing subscription to one and dones. And the bottom line is I've now pivoted to more of that structure. It's almost entirely that kind of structure with some things added on. One meeting, because I sleep better and I'm a recovering codependent with my clients, and the ongoing pressure of, am I doing enough? Rather than telling myself I shouldn't be that way, I've just accepted that I am that way. And I now do very finite project engagements because that's what works for me. So I will move to the challenges, and I see some questions in the chat. Perhaps Sarah,
I'm gonna do the chat for you. Okay, I'm gonna keep track of all that. So folks, keep chatting in your questions. We're gonna get to those, but let's just let Holly discuss her 5 challenges and lessons she learned.
Okay, so I think somebody already posted about revenue. So the first challenge, which I always get asked about, is the revenue roller coaster. And it is a roller coaster because it's just moving on to the next one, and people do come back. But a lot of times when they say they wanted a one-time review, that's all they wanted was a one-time review. So I have learned over the years, as the phone stopped ringing and then as the phone is ringing off the hook, neither of those circumstances is permanent. And I would, especially when the phone stops ringing, how we think of losses more than we think of gains. I think, oh, that's it. I'm too old. They don't want somebody that started in this business so long. I don't know, and then it starts ringing again. So there's no new normal. It's just feast or famine, not feast or famine, but it's a roller coaster. And I still wouldn't trade that for the pressure I put on myself to have that ongoing engagement. In fact, I still have 2 clients left from the subscription days, and they're anyway, but I wouldn't trade that. So that's just something you have to learn to live with, and it will get better, and then it'll get worse, and then it'll get better again. So it's all about just living in the moment and being financially prudent with, socking some away when times are good and then saving up for when things aren't. Any other, should I go with questions, Sarah, as we go through the challenges, or go through them all?
Please, let's go through the challenges first.
Okay, second one is, how do I do it in one meeting, cover all these bases? So before I mentioned, I pivoted to this show up and throw up and give the advice. Well, now that I do all meetings virtually and I have a vault, and so people can upload, and I feel better, I can review stuff ahead of time, and I charge more. So I charge for the one-time just review, no financial plan, just reviewing what you've got and answering your questions. It's $1,250. So I have to be, I say, ruthless with figuring out what are the most important things to cover for this project. Of course, it's what is the client bringing to me in terms of questions, but then people can't absorb all of our knowledge, and they're not interested as much as we are. So I learned that. I now do a second type of meeting that uses Money Guide. It does a full financial plan, but I still have to use the same principles with that. Okay, third challenge, how to charge for implementation. This came up last month, which I thought was interesting. So I learned that most people that are coming to me, like with several of you, are the do-it-yourselfers, and I take them to the asset allocation if I'm doing the plan, and then they can implement on their own, or they might need a few suggestions but there's not the, okay, figure out how to sell this many shares of that and put it in, buy this many shares and put in that. If I'm going to do all of that, that's worth something, and that's a separate project. So that is a lesson that I learned, and that I was kind of including it and not charging extra, and then not doing very well at it. And I decided, no, I'm going to, if somebody needs that, I'm going to do it right, and I'm going to charge for it. Usually I charge hourly. I charge $3.75 an hour. Okay, fourth, wearing all the hats as a solo. So many of you are business owners. So I didn't hire an assistant soon enough. I didn't get one until 2016. She made my life so wonderful, and paraplanners and the good VAs and paraplanners are totally worth what they charge. And also I learned that I would read Kitsis's stuff and think, okay, this is the right way to do my practice. I'm going to come up with the right way. I'm always evolving, and I should always be working on improving my systems and my workflows. They will never be done. And I'm a content creator, so thank you for mentioning the book. I started writing a newsletter in 2008 or so. It's been published monthly ever since. It's won awards and things, but I need to decide, and I'm still on this, whether that content creation is a business of itself. Is it just the task I do for marketing, or is it some artistic hobby that I have? So that's another hat that I'm wearing. Okay, final one is the blurry calendar boundaries. So I learned in my banking career, I think of my calendar as finite real estate, and it's precious. There's only so much of it. So I have to, with this business model, or with any business, we set the tone from the beginning that my time is valuable. And I'm not saying those words, but I'm doing it more in actions and the way I set expectations. I expect, as Sarah did, thank you very much, showing up on time, starting on time. When the phone call or meeting's over, it's over, and here's what you can expect next. And I feel like I'm doing a better service for them and for me by getting very firm on those boundaries. So I see we have some questions. Sarah, I'll let you fire away. I'll do the best I can.
Awesome. Okay, how to keep a constant revenue stream with client turnover.
So I mentioned I'm local here, so I have local connections. That's really helped a lot. I
Well,
do the writing.
Hold on, Holly. Can you just go back over that? What does that mean? Local connections helped a lot. Connections with the local CPA, with the local like Boy Scout troop, like what?
Wow, so many. I was on the board of the local estate planning council. So there are lots of attorneys and CPAs that know me and
Hold on a second, Holly, thank you. Hold on a second, please. Okay, can everybody on this webinar tell me, do you have a local estate planning council in your area? Nod if, okay, go like this if you don't, okay? I want to see who doesn't. It looks like everybody does. Okay, good. What did it take to get involved with that, Holly? Did they put you through the ringer? Did you have specific academic or professional requirements? Were they more open to you because of the business model that you have versus being a commission broker? How did you engineer that?
Well, I started going there when I was still with the bank. So I mean, I could go now, that would be fine. And I could probably get on the board. All you have to do is show that you're interested, show up to all the meetings, ask good questions, get to know people.
Okay.
You're bound to share some business with those people at some point and do business with them, and they learn who you are and how you do business. And it takes time, takes a few years, which seems like forever ago now. But
Okay.
yeah. I also was very involved with Toastmasters.
Toastmasters, so that's a speaking group. They teach you how to speak.
Yeah, it's a speaking group, but through Toastmasters, people are learning about you and who you are and what you do.
Okay.
I wasn't giving advertising.
I mean, and I would say Toastmasters is probably like professional people.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Okay.
And
Professionals. Does anyone here work with professionals? Thumbs up if you do. Right. See? Okay, good. I like it. I like it.
Yeah, I got speaking engagements through my Toastmaster friends that would ask me to come speak to their groups. And so then I got involved in those groups, the chambers of commerce and things, just, you know, one thing led to another. There are lately now, I'm in my late 50s. My former coworkers at the bank are calling me because they're getting ready to retire and they've got their big 401ks at their bank, at that bank or a new bank. And they know me from having worked with me for 20 years. So.
And how are you keeping in touch with them? Are they on your LinkedIn? Are you connected with them on LinkedIn? Are they on your?
I'm connected on LinkedIn, and some of them subscribe to the newsletter too. So that newsletter is going out monthly, touching people. You know, I've got about 800 people on the newsletter list.
Okay.
So
this does not sound like a huge marketing budget here. Okay. So she's doing this based on the strength of her relationships. She's going in the direction of the trust that's already established and building solid relationships through contexts that are familiar to people instead of yucky sales pitching. Okay, so this is great. If anyone had a job before you became a financial planner or advisor, I would advise you to go back over that, make a spreadsheet. This is a homework assignment because I don't want to hear everybody, oh, I can't get leads, I can't get leads. I think everybody had a job at one point where there were other professionals working with you. I want you to go make a list of every job you had. And then I want you to make a list of everybody that thought that you were cool, that you had lunch with, just write them down on the sheet. It won't cost you any more money. Marginally, there is zero marginal cost, okay, of consuming another cell in Microsoft Excel, right? So I want you to spend some time and just list out everybody you know that was digging you. And then I want you to send them a connection request over LinkedIn. If you don't understand how LinkedIn works, I have a plethora of blogs on this topic on my website, sarahgrillo.com, blogs section. Okay, LinkedIn is free. You don't need the premium. You don't need Sales Navigator. In fact, those tools will only assist you in steering you in the direction of being a disgusting salesperson. Don't do it. Just use the basic membership on LinkedIn that will cost you $0. But just like Holly is doing, be nurturing, be supportive, be cool, have a conversation, talk to people, ask them questions, find out what they're doing in their life, and be sincerely interested. It sounds like you're sincerely interested in things, not just going in it with like, here's my business card and let's have coffee. right? Okay.
I couldn't stand myself now if I
Okay,
did
Holly,
that.
I love this. Sorry to interrupt here, but this is valuable. These are jewels and nuggets.
Well, and the group that I've just been honored to serve are my fellow financial planners, because I'm not managing money. They know how to do that part. They know the investment part, but a lot of them have a spouse who's like, hey, I know you're a financial planner. I know you're an expert, but can we just have a second opinion? Can we just have a third party bless it and say, yes, you're doing everything right? And with humility, I've been so happy to take on some of my colleagues and help them out. Similarly, CPAs call me. Sometimes it's the same situation with the spouse. Sometimes it's just they've done all these spreadsheets and they're told they've wrapped themselves into a spiral and they're all confused. And so fellow financial professionals aren't threatened by my model, because I just have no other interest other than just showing up, giving the advice. So that's just been an honor for me that people would call me and ask me to do that. And then one fun one for me as a person in her late 50s lately is Reddit. I don't know how I got on Reddit, but I started commenting in the CPA subreddit. I was looking because we don't have any good CPA. We do have good CPAs, but everybody's all booked. And I can't find a CPA who will take on new clients and be responsive. So I was going on the CPA subreddit, and I got 2 clients from the CPA subreddit, totally unintentional, when they asked what I did and stuff. So that was kind of a fluke, but it was kind of fun.
Okay, so but see, I love that, because the fact that you were just genuinely, Cody, are you here? Cody does this great. Cody is very generous as well. Hey, what's up?
Sí, señorita.
Hello, señor. Hola, señor. ¿Cómo estás? So Cody is great at this too. Just provide information. Just answer people's questions and do it in a way that's awesome and let it free, right? And people love that because it takes the deal off the table. She's saying here she wasn't even trying to get business. I put the Reddit, again, this is a free forum. I don't want to hear anybody say they can't get leads. Okay.
And by the way, if you go into those places and you say, if somebody says, hey, should I contribute to a traditional or Roth 401k? And your advice is, hey, we'll set up a free consultation at my firm website, you'll get kicked out of the Reddit forum. So just give you a pre-warning that if you try to go as long as possible without saying you're an advisor, and you'll probably do better that way.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure.
Awesome. So Reddit. Okay, good. Wow. Keep going.
I had written, because I always get that question. So I had written, oh, well, with NAPFA, there's a service run by Alan Slider called Fee Only Network. And I believe that my involvement with Fee Only Network, he tries to optimize your SEO. And because I'm a writer and I'm posting and I've been quoted and I've done speeches and things, I think that helped my Google results. I'm sure it did. I'm sure it did. And he's just a great guy to work with anyway. So if you're in NAPFA and you have the Fee Only Network option, I paid for the upgrade, and I think that's like $250 a year or something. So that was worthwhile, I think. And just generally writing and creating content and posting, I believe, has probably been helpful. And I'm just fortunate that I like to do that anyway. I'm not as consistent with it as Sarah would tell me I should be, but I enjoy doing it.
Questions here for you, Holly, would be, what percentage of your advice-only clients are repeat clients? Great question from Jay.
I tried to look that up before. I thought about that like 30 minutes before the thing, that I know somebody's going to ask me that. And I haven't run those numbers in a few years, but the last time I did, I think I came up with between 25 and 30%.
$25 to 30% of your, like you would say, annual revenue stream comes from repeat clients.
The annual revenue stream, that's a different way to think about it. I was thinking about the number of clients who come back. Let's see. It seems like half the annual revenue stream is people coming back. But I'm sorry, I don't have those figures.
Well, okay, but
I know if this was Kitsis, he wouldn't let me get away with that. I'd have to have all those.
Okay, so what would you have say you found to be effective in getting those people to come back?
Well, sending the monthly newsletter. Recently this year, I started something called Ask Me Anything Hour. And that's actually resulted in quite a few people coming back in for tax planning meetings and updates. So I'm going to continue doing that and see if it's just a, what do you call it, flash in the pan, or if this really is something that is a way to keep people engaged. So I mean, I'm on the expensive end of things. I charge $3,250, just so you know, for the full financial plan. And like I said, $375 an hour. I'm not the most expensive, but I think people are hesitant because of the hourly rate, especially. So if I do the Ask Me Anything hour, then that kind of prompts them.
How do you let them know? Do you publish that in your newsletter? About this?
I do a separate invitation to the newsletter list that says you're invited to Ask Me Anything hour. It's a small group. I limit it to 10 seats. It's filled up every time. I just sent it an hour ago. I'll look right now and see. You can look and see, but it's filled up every time. So people try to get in and it's filled up. So hopefully that makes them want to come to the next one. But I want to keep
awesome. Yep. Okay,
yeah.
Good. Small, intimate, can actually have a dialogue.
Yeah. Yeah.
Organized. Do you have them submit their questions to you before the meeting, or? I
send them if they register, then I ask them for their questions, and then I send out a second survey to everybody with anonymously, here are all the questions that are, and then everybody votes on the questions they want to talk about for Ask Me Anything hour.
Okay, so she's serving the clients. Okay, she's offering a service to them that she's not charging for this, but this is a professional way to help people that you've already worked with, and you could see how high her retention or her comeback rate is. Advice only planners. Okay, listen to this, please. Listen to what she just said. This is how she's engaging her past clients. This is a success model here. Okay. Awesome. Thank you, Holly. Next question. What do you talk about in your newsletter? How often do you send them?
The newsletter is monthly, and I usually have a link to one of my last blog posts from the prior month. So in case they missed the blog post, not a lot of people subscribe to the blog. I have something funny that I came across that's entertaining. I have lately I've started a local charity of the month, and readers submit a charity of the month that they want profiled. And then I usually find some kind of third party interesting. It might be some kind of article that I think is of interest, and I'm targeting people who are basically within about 5 years of retirement. And then I give tax tips for the month, what you should be doing tax wise, 1 or 2 or 3 things that you can do for taxes. So that's all. And I call it the view from the porch.
Holly, next question. What do you do? And by the way, everybody, keep the questions coming here. I have more on the docket. I've not forgotten about them. If you entered a question, it is on my docket here. So keep the questions coming, y'all. And thank you, everybody. This is awesome webinar. Keep going, everybody. Go team. Woo! All right, Holly, next one. What do you do when you get to capacity? Put them on a wait list? Refer to others? Delay their start until you have an opening?
That's a good question. When I'm talking with them, so I have one prospect call, it's 35 to 40 minutes. And at the end of the call, they know that I'm going to ask them, do you want to set an appointment or not? And if they do, then, and I'm just booked out, then I just say, well, the next available is, and I might say, it's 3 months from now or whatever. Is that okay? Would you rather that I let you know if there's a cancellation. So I'm still talking to people, but I'm just, the times that they can come in or just get pushed a little further out.
Any questions on that to whoever asked that question? Any rebuttal questions?
No, that was for me, Sarah. I just wanted to hear it from Holly, how she handles, because I'm at capacity, so.
Next question. Do you ever do a full quote unquote financial plan for your engagements, or is it just 100% a review?
Yeah, I do. The second kind of meeting that I do is a full financial plan. Well, it's debatable if you would think it's a full financial plan. I try to focus on what's the most important things. So I use Money Guide. We do the plan and Money Guide. We get together in an interactive way and decide what they want to have for their goals, their allocation, et cetera, that whole bit. And then I give them access to Money Guide for a year after the meeting. And I do a PDF report that memorializes the combination of assumptions that we decided on during the interactive meeting. So that's what I call a full financial plan. But there's always more to do, as you all know. So I do a review where there's no software involved. That's the way I explain it to people. There's no software. You just want to review. I'll look at your spreadsheet, whatever it is. Then there's the plan where we use the software. And then I've neglected to mention another way people are coming back is, since I got Holistiplan, I've started doing just a tax planning meeting where we just do scenario analysis in Holistiplan. And I only schedule those in September, October, November, December, and that's $7.95 for the tax planning meeting. So several people are coming back and just doing those.
Who was the person at NAPFA that helped with SEO?
Oh, Alan Slider, he's not at NAPFA. You have to be a NAPFA member to have access to his service, which is called Fee Only Network. So if you go to feeonlynetwork.com, you can find him there.
Yeah, the link's in the chat, Sarah.
Thank you.
And one clarification there, I don't think you have to be an NAPFA member.
Oh, you have to be fee only. You have to be fee only.
You have to be fee only, and basically
Okay.
being a NAPFA member or an XYPN member gets you straight through. No other validation required.
Okay, thank you.
How did you arrive at your fees? Did it evolve over time?
Yeah, so the just review thing, show up at the office and review. I just threw out a number, $450 when I got started doing it. And this kind of goes to Skip's capacity question too. As I filled up, I'm like, okay, demand, supply, I'm going to raise the price, bring in the calendar real estate, that whole bit. So I just kept increasing the price, and I do that at the end of the year for the coming up year. And I just see, okay, how's the demand at this price?
There are a few numbers you stated for fees, 450 to 3,250. Is that based on the scope of service, or was the 450 you charged initially and now it is higher? Sorry if I missed something.
Yeah, 450 initially, now it's 1250.
Is there a certain reason that you, hold on, before we go on from that, are there any rebuttal questions to from the people who asked those questions originally? You could speak it, Jay, if you want.
Okay, so I guess one question that's been on my mind, as an advice-only planner, when you're planning, when you're giving your review or do the full financial planning, when it comes to the investment part, right? I mean, I feel like planning is the easy part. Where most often things get derailed is the execution and monitoring, especially when it comes to investments, because like you said, something like 2007 happens, everything goes out the window, right? So how do clients, the advice only clients, handle that part of it? Do they come back to you just for that part, or do you schedule follow-ups just for, I know you said tax planning only, do you have like investment planning only or investment monitoring only, so to speak, as a separate engagement?
Monitoring, no, that it's very clear in my agreement, there, no monitoring. That's up to you as the client. There, for the execution, I call that implementation. If they want help with the implementation, that's a separate engagement. Usually I charge hourly for that, to come up with all the, how you implement what we came up with in the plan. And then if you want to schedule regular meetings to go over it, that's fine. But that there's no monitoring. They have, by virtue of doing business with me, they've said they want to do that. Now, I will say also, when I first started, remember, I was connecting people with fee-only and fiduciary investment managers. I still do that somewhat. So if somebody comes to me, they're not do-it-yourself, they have no interest or inclination to, or ability to manage it themselves, I will help them find an investment manager. They can go with that person and never call me again. Or what seems to happen more often is they want me to stay involved and kind of oversee that investment manager is doing things according to the plan. They're paying me and the investment manager. But I do have several people that do that. So that's where the monitoring gets taken care of.
Okay.
Good question, though.
Yeah, everybody keep it rolling. Keep those questions rolling in, y'all. This is awesome. Is there a certain reason that you have not partnered with or hired an in-house portfolio manager or CIO to work directly with you and your clients? I understand that your role is to plan the menu, but my question is more in reference to the personal shopper part.
Yeah, because I get so many people that say they're specifically calling me because I do not manage money. They feel, even if it's called fee only, they don't feel that investment management is free of conflicts of interest. They don't want to pay 1%. That's consistent message that I get is like, no, we want you, because they think of fee only as they pay a fee, they get a plan, and then we're done. So what we call advice only. So no, I wouldn't partner or bring somebody in-house, because that's not what my clients want.
What is your exit strategy? Related, what steps are you taking to make your model replicable?
Zero. So there's a retired planner down the road from me on the west coast of Florida. She retired a couple of years ago, and I'm on the same track as her, in that she just tried to find good planners that her clients would be happy with, and that's where I'm at right now. What I would like is to find a CPA who prepares taxes that would like to add advice only planning to their offering, and perhaps partner up with that kind of a firm. But I haven't spent a lot of time and energy trying to find that person or firm.
How would you recommend new advice only planners spread the word of advice only as a service model and their specific firm? We kind of talked about that, but just recap it for us.
Yeah, just be very careful about our industry jargon. As you know, the public is so confused about what fee only, fee-based, advice only, planning only, they don't know. So just try, as you're getting the word out, make the words in the client's language to the best you can, that describe what it is you're doing and what it is you're not doing and what they can get out of it.
Sarah, can I interject with a follow-on question?
Go ahead, girl.
Holly, thank you for sharing all of this wisdom. What are your thoughts on advice only as a term, period? I struggle with it. I'm advice only, but I find it limiting and it's hard. I think clients find me and they'll say, I'm just so glad I found you because you're fee-based. And I'm like, I don't want to go down a rabbit hole. I'm not fee-based, but okay, you're here,
Yeah.
I'm here, let's keep going. But I'm curious, you're in this space and have done well, and I do think there's value in advice only, but it sounds limiting. It's not advice only.
Yeah, it does. Advice only is a term. I'm not crazy about it. I know that we've got to come up with something. I think Knut said he is an advocate of planning only.
I think
But
I
I think-
struggle with the only part. Because-
Yeah, the only part to the public is like, well, what am I not getting? You know, if I was the consumer, I would be like, what am I not getting of only that? There's something left out. I don't know. I'm not a marketing whiz. I'm not a good labels person. You know, I just try to focus my content on the target person that I'm trying to reach, and I don't really say exactly how I do it or what I do, except on the website where it says, I don't manage money, I don't make commissions, you know, so if they get to the website, they'll see the intro paragraph that we don't touch your money. It's what I say there. But I don't put that out there a lot.
Thank you.
I'm not very much.
No, I appreciate it.
We don't touch your money.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that? Am I crazy here? But like, that sounds clear.
I like that. Yeah.
I mean, I guess I'm supposed to make it more complicated and everything, right? But I mean, okay. Do you provide clients with an estimate of the hours required prior to starting the work? Okay, sorry, my bad. Do you provide clients with an estimate of hours required?
So in that one call that we have, they're either going to fit in the 1250 project, the 3,250 project, or the 795 is only for established clients. So they're going to fit one of those two. I give them the two if I'm not sure that where they fit, and they take it or leave it. 1250 or 3250 for the new client. What do you want to do?
Sorry, that was me who asked the question. I'm now really being annoying, but then what do you do for the tax planning if they come back to see you for just that one-time conversation?
Yeah, then they email, I say, I want to do tax claim. Like, okay, it's $795. Is that okay? Do you want to set a meeting?
So your flat fee,
Yeah.
kind of hourly. Yes. Okay. So
Yeah,
really-
the hourly would be, I tell them hourly as if like they're gonna buy a house and they want me to review the closing statement and book a half hour and do that. Or I've got a few like super wealthy people that they give me the strangest projects to do. And I'm just like, yeah, I just bill them hourly. So, yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Do past one-time clients continue to have access to your financial planning software?
They get it for a year, and then I shut it off, and I tell them if they want to re-up, which those of you who offer software to your clients, you know, they don't use it, a lot of them, but it's there. And I get a few that want to continue, and like, you don't have to schedule an update meeting. Oh, by the way, the update meetings are $875 and $1875. So if they've come in the last 3 years, they get a discount on the update meeting. So it just doesn't come up that much, but so they get it for a year, and then I shut it off, and you know, then it's kind of clean.
For investment advice, do you provide specific tickers, asset category weights, or only broad asset allocation advice?
Good question. So it depends on where the client's at with their investment. So I do, as you can imagine, a lot of advice on 401ks, 403bs. So I'm just using, of course, the funds that are in there to make a recommendation for them. If it's taxable account or they, you know, traditional rollover where they've got then, you know, starting from just scratch, I I start with passive ETFs to fill in the asset classes, and I give them choices. You can do this, this, or that. I might attach a Morningstar report to it. And it depends on how much education, how much I think they can handle. That's on a case-by-case basis.
Cody, are you satisfied with that response?
Yeah, I want to hear that from you for others to hear, because a lot of people assume, since I don't manage investments, they're like, oh, you don't give advice on, like, you don't tell me, you don't give advice on investments. And I also say there's a lot of financial advisors who do manage investments who offer one-time plans, but they don't give those clients specific investment advice. They only say, oh, I think you should have an 80-20 for this account, a 70-30 for this account. But because they manage investments, they feel like giving the client, giving the project-based client, not ongoing client, when they give them tickers, that it's like giving away their secret sauce. So I wanted everybody to hear that advice-only financial planners do give investment advice, even though they don't manage them. And they also give, like, literally will screen share and like tell people exactly what ticker and how much to sell and how much to buy. So it's the same level of detail in the investments. It's just that they're clicking the buttons, not us.
Cody, to chime in a little more, I think actually advice only, depending on how you manage the investment advice, is more advice than what investment manager is giving, because there's more research involved, education element. It's not just doing it for them. So I think it's actually more work.
Yeah, it's definitely driven by education, which takes time, right? I always say financial planning is not scalable, but it probably shouldn't be because it's a relationship, not just a transaction.
And the questions are still rolling in. Keep the wheels turning, folks. This is great. Can someone hire you only for the tax review, even if you have never worked with them in the past?
No.
Why?
I need to know their whole picture before I'm going to start giving them tax planning advice. I'm not
Okay.
going to do just the tax planning.
Let's suppose that happens, that someone comes in and says, I want tax planning advice, but you've never worked with them. What do you just say no? Or do you say, well, I need to know your whole situation. Do this financial plan with me. Do it. Like, do you see what I'm saying? Like,
No, yeah, I'm not inclined to justify, defend, or explain. I'll just say, I'd be happy to do that for you. For all new clients, I have an initial consultation process, and this is how it goes. You can do this, blah, 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 or you can do that, blah, blah, blah. If one of those apply to you, then the tax planning will actually be included with one of those, and then you can come back annually and do the other.
right. Okay.
Or something like that.
Holly, how does that generally work with people? Do they then say, okay, yeah, it was an oversight on my part. Now I understand how you work and I will do this and let me pay you for this. Or do they say adios?
Yeah, it's funny because that subreddit with the CPAs, one of the clients, he said exactly that. He's like, he's a tax attorney in Belize. And he was like, will you help me with this? I'm like, did you say you're a tax? And he said, yeah, I want to do the 795 thing. I'm like, I don't know. We have to do what do you want to accomplish? And he tells me, I'm like, okay, so this is how it would go. You do the 3250 retirement roadmap plan, and then we'll include the tax planning with it. And he said, okay. But not all of them are going to say that. If they say no, okay, I move on next.
Right. Okay. How do you identify investment managers that are complementary and not duplicative of your service?
Yeah, I do. I have some that have financial planners on staff, and I tell the client, you are paying them and you could use their financial planner. They've got it there, but some of them will and some of them won't. So I don't screen for that really. I'm really more interested in, is it a good fit for the client and what they need? And, they're fiduciaries and fee only and all that. So.
I mean, you watch the reverse psychology too. Like if you actually tell them there's those people over there that you're already working with and you should just talk to, they'll probably never talk to them just because you said that. You know what I mean? Okay. How do you analyze current portfolios, typo, whoever wrote that, and come up with rebalancing plans in terms of software, manual, spreadsheet, or other?
Okay, real quick, because I know we're getting short. Money Guide Pro has reallocation comparison screen that will take where you're at and where you're trying to get to, and it'll show you for all the asset classes what changes you need to make. So that's kind of what I start with. And you can reach me at hollydonaldson.com. I'm happy to answer more questions or have more conversations if anybody wants to.
Okay. That's the end of the question list, but I want to keep this good momentum going. So what I'm going to do now is just open it up freestyle, that anybody can ask any question of anybody on this call. Or if you just want to introduce yourself because you haven't been here in a while, or you want to just introduce yourself because you're new, then please do that as well. But this is now the freestyle dance party. So if anybody knows how to break dance, break it down. Go ahead. I'm gonna be quiet until somebody talks.
I'll just say thanks, Holly, for your time and participation.
Thanks, everybody, for your interest too.
Holly, Scott Selesky, I have a question for you.
Sure.
So with your model, it sounds what you just described for the last hour or so, and I appreciate your time and feedback and what you shared here with the group, but it sounds like a lot of what other advice only, using the term advice only, planners do, or advisors. I guess my question is that a lot of times the advice only planners are looked at like one-time plans, and everything you said today was more like, again, ongoing relationships if they want it or they don't want it. Is that something that you go out and you engage them to be, I guess better way of saying it, do you go out and is there a system or mechanism that you have that you're keeping track of all the people that you provided different services for, where you're being proactive to try to see if they need additional services, or is it pretty much 100% they come back if they need this stuff? And the reason I ask that is because a lot of times people don't know what they need until they have like a fire that they're dealing with. So I was curious of how you, but also other advice only planners handle that.
That's a perfect challenge that I have, Scott, and I'm trying to do better about segmenting my lists and my contacts into people that have these, predictable issues that may not, like I just sent an email I've never sent before to all my people that turned 63 this year. And so I appreciate what you're saying. You're right on target. I could do a much better job of that. And that's something I'm definitely working on. I'm curious.
Oh, you're probably doing a good job. I was just curious how people that are doing just advice only are handling that, because it seems to me, I mean, I'm really full service and doing everything for a client. And, I struggle with some of the same things that you meant early on, like, are you doing enough for a client under that model, or you're not, and so on. So it gets back to the same thing of, if you're relying 100% on the client to come back to you under kind of the advice only model, are they ever going to come back? Sure, there's going to be the ones that have the fire and you immediately have to go and address the fire. But I would say, like, everybody probably needs some level of tax planning. So every one of the clients, for the most part, that you've dealt with in the past should be taking advantage of a tax review if their situation warrants. So how do you, separate standalone services like that, how do you re-engage people to do that? Not because necessarily you're looking for another client or more revenue. It's just something they should be doing to keep their plan and their financial life in order.
I agree with you, and just, the whole bring the horse to water, can't make them drink. But I don't know what other advice only planners would say. I think I've said how I handle it.
I'll add something here. Again, I actually literally put in writing in the financial plan that plan is both a noun and a verb. And I think that people have come because I only offer one-time plans. I start every year with 0 AUM and 0 clients. And they're like, people have asked like, how is that sustainable? But it's actually not, the fee model isn't what makes it sustainable. It's the relationship that's built through doing an educational approach. So I'm actually working with a client right now. They reached out, we worked together last year. They reached out 9 months later, even though our financial plan kind of covers the year. And I asked, hey, like, what's going on? Like, what's changed in your financial planning situation? They said, nothing. We just want more Cody in our life. Like we miss you. And by the way, I kind of think to myself, like, how many people have set up a meeting with their financial advisor because they like talking to them, right? Like it's a very different idea. And of course, we still like updated their financial plan and stuff, but I think you have to set the mutual expectation that once the formal engagement ends, this is the phrasing I use. I say, our formal engagement will end, let's say, on July 13th, but I want to let you know, I'm not kicking you out of the door. I'm not kicking you out the door. Because I think in our industry, transactionally, we think when a formal engagement ends, compliance would probably say the same thing. They probably say like, once they're no longer a formal client, like kick them out, like cut off all their access to you. And I keep all access, all relationship moving forward. I mean, I don't give them like personalized advice moving forward, right after that formal engagement, but I leave the relationship door open. And Holly, like, could you talk a little bit about like, do you have clients who, when they reach out to you, it's just kind of to give a life update, not ask about, in financial specifics?
Yeah, that's good, Cody. Several people reach out and say, I just need to update you as this is what happened. I just got one yesterday. The house didn't sell. The contract fell through. And it's nice when that happens.
So I have a question here. I guess I have two questions, and I'll start with the one that Cody started with. So Cody, when you have clients that reach out to you, and Holly, to you as well, let's say after the engagement period, and they ask you, hey, so what should I do with my investments in Roth? How do you then tell them, hey, now this is going to be very planning specific, as opposed to like a general advice where do you then tell them, hey, you have to like come back and sign the engagement? Then doesn't it look a little bit pushy in that case? How do you handle that part of it? It's very hard in my mind to kind of make that clear distinction between general versus personal when it goes past that engagement period, right? Am I clear with that question?
Yeah, Holly, you can go first. I'll show an example of actually how I give investment advice, because I have a sample plan, but yeah, go ahead, Holly.
Yeah, so that question that you said, Jay, what do I need to do with my Roth? And that should have been answered in the meeting. There shouldn't be coming back afterward and saying, what do I do? It's answered already. I told them what to do.
Okay. Or if, let's say, you did the plan and something happened 6 months down the line, right after the engagement is done, stuff happens in life, and now they need to like go back and revisit, then how do you handle that part of it? Do you just kind of do it?
I say, so sorry to hear that, or congratulations, glad to hear that. What would you like to do? Would you like to do a full update, or would you like to just schedule an hourly meeting?
Got it. Okay. And then my second question, actually, Cody, I think you were going to add something to it, so I'll ask my second question after that.
Sure. Yeah, I'll do a quick screen share, because I think it's going back to like, how deep do we go? I'm going to just quickly show something. So we've got, see if I can get the right thing up here. Let's see here. I got to open the right thing. Comprehensive financial plan. All right. So this is like a real example of financial plan. Screen share. I'll be quick on this, I promise, as quick as I can. Okay. Can everybody see this? Good.
Yep.
So I think it's really important for, I think in terms of giving investment advice, I think in like kind of I go down 3 levels. So first is like on the balance sheet, I actually break up, again, this is all templated, but effectively the balance sheet, the assets are broken into like asset location, taxable, pre-tax, and tax-free. So we look at them like as a broad, very broad first in the balance sheet. But then we go one step further, we go a little bit deeper into the investment accounts. So we look at their total portfolio as a whole, but then we look at those the taxable, the pre-tax, and tax-free. But you can see that, for example, the taxable accounts, you have our list of accounts, the asset allocation of each account, and then the asset allocation of that asset location, right? So you have that taxable, pre-tax, tax-free, and then they can see their total allocation across their total portfolio. So that's level 2. And then we go into like just the taxable brokerage accounts. Here is a full analysis of every holding within each of those accounts. So you can see there's 3 levels of this. And then when I actually give, so in the, as part of the plan, I actually tell them exactly, I'll actually highlight, actually a good example would be, let's see, there might be one here, but effectively, like I will highlight and put in paragraph form, like which tickers they're going to sell, and this includes like the tax consequence of each sale for tax gain loss harvesting. But then when I give them the actual like recommendation, so this is the asset allocation examples for each account, and I provided a basic allocation if they're just going to go like on a Boglehead's 2 or 3 fund portfolio, or I'll actually break down the asset categories if they want a more detailed approach with more options for tax loss harvesting. But I do that per account with the specific tickers. So in the initial advice, they have great clarity over what to do specifically within each account to each investment, but they also understand how it affects like the total. And what I tell clients after our formal engagement ends is that I actually, even after our formal engagement ends, if they email me wanting additional clarification about something we already discussed, I will simply just email them, like kind of reminding them like, oh, this is what we did. And I actually record meetings and send them the video. So I mean, I know people are worried about compliance. I'm not at all. So I record client meetings and send them the entire meeting so they can watch exactly how I explained it for the first time. And that might actually save me time in the long run if they go, wait, what did Cody say about that? Which one to give to charity? Like they can just watch the video at 2 times speed whenever they want. So hopefully that helps.
That's not transparency for you folks. I don't know what is, right? That's great.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Capital T there with transparency.
Hello everybody, my name is Mark. It's my first time here. It's really interesting and informative. Appreciate y'all sharing your thoughts. I'm really curious about, with sort of like this emphasis on one-time meetings with clients, like so much of advice and planning these days has sort of involved like a behavioral coaching element, especially like in the wake of 2022, so much market volatility. Like what is the approach in terms of like keeping clients like disciplined with this sort of like one-time approach? Like if you get a sense that maybe that's going to be a challenge moving forward.
I think there's only so much I can do in the meetings. I can just remind them, I say things like, the only guarantee I'm going to make to you about this is it's going to go down. At some point, it will go down, I promise. So that's the only promise I can make. And here's what you're going to do when that happens. Do you feel comfortable with that? And, but that is a downfall of this model in that you're not there with them every month, or, you're not there to help them. They have to reach out to me to ask what to do. And sometimes they've reached out and after they've done something I warned them not to do. So in my newsletter, I try to continue to give that, behavioral stuff. And during COVID, I posted videos and, how to stay the course and all that kind of thing. But you're right. It's not the same as being in their lives in an ongoing basis.
Yeah,
I just want to quickly, go ahead,
sorry.
Mark.
Go ahead. I mean, I guess, like in a sense, it sort of like could provide further opportunity in scenarios like, I mean, I guess like perhaps like setting up like maybe we can check in a couple of months from now and see how things are going, and decide if we want to like reassess, reevaluate. I guess that's sort of like what I'm curious about with this model, like how that's approached.
And
But
I would
yeah,
add,
that makes
I was gonna-
sense.
go ahead.
What you're
Yeah.
saying, Holly, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to add that advice only, it could come in 3 flavors in terms of service model, which is hourly, project-based, or ongoing. So you can do, you can do advice only with an ongoing, like just like they're an AUM client in terms of like relationship and ongoing relationship, and viewing like having regular updates monthly, quarterly, semi-annually, whatever. So yeah, there's still the option to do advice only ongoing, and also advice only is for a specific type of client. And what I mean by that is I call it people with the time, the temperament, and the talent to do it themselves. And I don't mean time and talent to learn everything there is to know about financial planning, but it's the time and the talent to make implement investments, which we all can agree that the time it takes to manage investments isn't very much anymore, and the talent required isn't very much anymore. I mean, what I mean by that is it takes talent to create the portfolio and look at the asset allocations, but it doesn't take talent to scroll over the buttons and learn your way around the custodian. So I think this model, it's for a specific, it's a different model for different people, but it also, because it's so educational based, it really provides empowerment and agency, not to tell people what to do necessarily, but to help them make their own well-informed decisions. So I actually find that, I worked in a traditional RIA AUM firm, now advice only, and the families I work with, they are much faster and much more, not just efficient, but effective at implementing the advice, because they actually truly understand what they're doing, because I've empowered them to do it themselves and given them the agency to do that. And this is a good reminder that also, we don't just provide investment management advice, right? There's things that even an AUM advisor can't do for a client. They can't change their tax withholding on their W-4, right? Or they can't change necessarily change their investments in their 401k or draft their estate documents. So I think it's important that whichever model you're in, you take an educational approach, because they're going to have behavioral issues in things that you don't actively manage for them, including a big one, right? Cash flow, just budgeting. So I would encourage, if you're in an investment, if you're on the investment focus side, if you can somehow implement cash flow planning and at least have maybe a semi-annual budgeting meeting, as long as you're redefining what budgeting is to be non-judgmental, I think that would be an awesome, not just a value add, but a core part of your process. I think, Mark, you're at Vanguard, correct? Or are you thinking about moving, or you don't have to say it on the call?
What's that?
I said, you don't have to say it on the call whether you're planning on moving, but you're at Vanguard.
I was at Vanguard. Yeah, I'm
Okay,
transitioning to another. I'm working with it's a family financial planning. But it's more of a, I guess, a traditional model in terms of it's fee based in the sense that it was a percentage of AUM for sort of full service client scenarios. But we're definitely interested in newer models as well.
Cool. And this is actually really great, by the way. If you're working with a retiree, are you working with the traditional retiree AUM model type of clients there?
Yeah, for the most part. Yeah.
Yeah. So a really great thing is I've actually worked with clients who kind of gift, they gift financial planning to their kids. So they're, even their 30, 40-year-old kids, they're like, hey, well, I would love for you to help our kids who don't have assets yet, but we're willing to pay the hourly project-based or ongoing fee for them to get advice only service. So that's a cool option for kind of multi-generational planning. And then once they have the assets, you can not, I don't like the word, convert them to AUM, but you can effectively kind of build multi-generational firms that way.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I struck, your financial plan seems maybe more oriented towards the investment savvy, the more kind of hands-on type clients. But yeah, appreciate all the insight there.
So one more question, Holly. With this advice only model, yesterday I came across someone saying that, oh, the custodian is charging me 50K or 60K for all the assets that they have under the AUM as assets under management. But with this advice only model, since you don't have AUM, I'm assuming you don't have to worry about any custodial charges here, correct? So what kind of expenses do you have in that sense? You have Money Guide, you mentioned, you said you have Holista Plan. What other softwares or systems do you have in terms of like an expense?
Not a lot. I just let my office go. I signed a 3-year lease right before COVID. Stupid. I got Holista Plan, as I mentioned, Wealth Box. Oh geez, I haven't looked at my tech stack in a while. So I don't have any of the investment management stuff. I don't have to do portfolio rebalancing or all that stuff. I have a virtual assistant paraplanner. She's in Dallas. She's probably the biggest expense after all the technology, which is not a lot.
Thanks.
Mhm.
Immersion 2024. I have 15 spots left. I know a lot of you are already registered for it, but if you're not, please consider coming and being part of our community. The way that these things go is that I found, and of course I'm biased because this is a group that I'm kind of heading up, but I have 40 total. I'm keeping it small on purpose. I have found that the people here do tend to be very generous. And I feel like the things that we talk about in these 2-hour calls are just the tip of the iceberg. I think once we really get deeper, and that's the point of it, is immersion, is that I want people to pour themselves into this event. I want them to fully engage. I want us to really give all of ourselves to the subject matter and to offer to each other everything that we can in the spirit of encouraging our colleagues and nurturing their development. So this is not your typical conference and I set it up like this on purpose, and I think it's going to be surprising. I'm hoping it'll be surprising in what we accomplish. So I just would encourage you, if you haven't signed up for the Immersion 2024, I'm going to put the link in the comments. Please give it an honest consideration. The way that the tickets are there, I mean, I think it's something like $270 at this point. We're off of the early bird pricing. But if there's an excess over what it is costing me to hold this event, I do intend, to the best of my ability, to refund back any surplus. So I'm not looking to make a profit off of you. Okay, that my sole intention is to get everybody together and just let them immerse. But there is a cost associated with that, and I'm just very modestly asking only what I need to cover those expenses. Okay. Does anyone have any questions or recommendations about activities that I should institute within this transparency movement in order to make it more effective for the industry and for society? I'm a humble servant here, and I just need direction and guidance as to what direction to go in. Well, if anyone thinks of anything, you sure know how to reach me.
Good article in Advisor Perspectives the other day, by the way.
Who said that? Sorry.
I did, Mike.
Oh, Mike, thanks. Thanks for reading it.
And that's where I first saw you. Saw your name was there, and read these articles over over the course of several years. And who is this crazy leopard lady?
Who is this crazy lady? Yeah, I'm the crazy lady. I got the crazy hair to go with it, right? So it's all the same brand. All right. Well, thank you. Okay, everybody, I'm going to end the webinar unless anybody objects. Okay, just remember, I'm in your corner here, and I'm really pushing hard to further this. So let me know how I need to serve you, okay? Bye, everybody.
Thanks.